No sooner than I post something about KNBR and the various silly kind of Mayberry RFD in terms of amateurism, which takes place there on a regular basis, then we find out that the one and only Copes, Adam Copeland, has stepped down as the program director. Jesus, what fantastic news. What shocking. I think the world's going to stop. Look, I've said from beginning to end, and by the way, it's Thursday afternoon. I'm Rich Lieberman, and Copes, Adam Copeland, has stepped down, I guess. He's been gone for about a week, ostensibly to take a breather, because that job of sitting around your desk and sending off texts and emails and playing golf with a certain morning guy not named Dorcas is rather taxing on the body, takes its toll. But let's cut to the chase. Look, there was no power here as far as the power part of it. Adam Copeland had no authority. He had no responsibility. He couldn't fire anybody. He could go to the boss, Larry Bloomhagen, who is the Cumulus market manager in San Francisco, and say, you know what? I think we should do this. I think you could get rid of John Lund and put John Dickerson into that position and save the company about $150,000. Well, he wouldn't dare do that, Copes, because A, wouldn't not only have the power, doesn't have the power, didn't have the power. It was all, ladies and gentlemen, ceremonial shit. They didn't give him a boost in salary. He's making roughly $80,000 to $90,000 a year, maybe a shade more. But they didn't give him any significant extra money to be the real program director at KNBR. It was all bullshit. Remember, I was talking about bullshit. Want to know what bullshit encompasses? That so-called job. That's why nobody wanted it. Nobody with any kind of real, prestige in mind. Doesn't work that way. It doesn't happen that way. Yeah, nobody would take that position because there's nothing there. They have no money at KNBR and these other radio stations lately because radio is hemorrhaging. Radio is dying. The only radio stations that are making it are some news talk stations, non-sports news stations, and a few sports talk stations. But you have to go back east in New York, WFAN, or Philly, WIP, or even in LA, where they have decent personnel still. And they've managed to keep their few loyal advertisers who spend money to keep them afloat happy. And they have strong affiliations with teams like the Dodgers and, say, the Mets, the Yankees, Philadelphia teams. Back to Copeland. Copeland probably stepped down because there was no reward. There was a hell of a lot of risk, and the job was physically, I guess, too exhausting. And maybe what sounded real fantasy, like, oh boy, I'm going to walk around and tell people not only am I a host, I am the program director, I'm the boss. You're not going to get anything more than a few shekels. So maybe you can buy an extra couple slices of pizza. Look, KNBR, the few remaining folks there, what do they have? About 6 guys there. Eventually, 2 guys are going to lose their jobs. Okay. There's no cash there. To keep the train moving, they have no cash. They barely have enough cash to take care of costs, filling the water thing up. coffee. And they sure as hell ain't putting any money into a program director. The job was going to end up already on its way to being a failure. Somebody had to take the fall. Copes, I do believe, was read the Riot Act like, hey, you may have made a small imprint on an arrow going up in the last ratings book, but guess what? We still have no money. You're going to have to do this, this, and this, in addition to this, this, and this. And Copeland, he probably said, what? I'm going to do all this and spend endless nights, probably, at the radio station and get paid peanuts. That's what happened, folks. They read him the Riot Act. He got to know the fact that his little ceremonial jaunts in the office and taking time off from his show to go to a meeting. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to go to a meeting, a real important meeting. Look, it ain't happening. I have said repeatedly, and I don't boast on saying this because I don't wish anybody any ill will towards their livelihood, even the yuck mucks at KNBR, the intern drivers who are not going to be spared their jobs because they're making, $3,000 a month, like Dorcas in the morning with Smurf. Eventually, there's going to be no local hosts. The only local aspect of sports talk radio in San Francisco, and that includes the game on FM, is the teams that actually put forth their own product on the field. The 49ers, NFL. That's king. That sells ads. That's what drives the little engine that's going right now on KMBR, the 49ers. I've said to you a million times. What do they talk about? They only talk about the Giants when they have to talk about the Giants and do these bullshit PR shows. They carry the games. They'd much rather be talking about the 49ers and to some degree the Warriors. But at least the Warriors are not affiliated with Major League Baseball, which is down, down, down. It's the third sport now, ladies and gentlemen. You have the NFL, you have the NBA, and you have Major League Baseball. Okay? Giants better start winning. Otherwise, those crowds that they fake now during the week when there's only 15,000 in the yard and they tell you there's 23,000, they better start winning. But back to Copeland. Thankless job. He took it because nobody else wanted it. Okay? Mike Holler, who's affiliated with the station, used to be the host or the producer host of the Radnich show. He had it for about 15 minutes. He didn't want it. They offered it to a whole bunch of people. Copeland volunteered. Maybe he did it for job security on his show with Tom Tolbert. That show is not secure. Neither is Greg Papa and Johnny Lund. None of those shows make any kind of money, by the way, folks. The morning show, they got rid of Polly Mack. Remember that moron? I don't wish even Polly Mack to get fired, but they did it anyway. Why? Because that show doesn't make any money anymore. And all these shows are dropping advertisers every other day. I mentioned a certain auto body shop. Few banks have gone away. They'll survive the year, but I would not be surprised one day you turn on KNBR and it's all syndicated stuff out of New York. And you have a post 49ers game or a Giants game. They'll have the Giants, but they're not going to have all these hosts. Why do you think post Giants games now, they rotate? They put these fill-in guys who are making $100 a show because they can't hire a full-time guy. Again, this all goes to Copeland. Copeland could put on, which he did, all these ticket giveaways and do moronic promotions like he did on April Fool's Day when he did some stupid thing. But Copeland can't print money. If he could print money, then he'd probably have a lifetime job, not only as host of Copy Copes and Tolbert, but yeah, a real program director, somebody who had power, somebody who had some authority, somebody who didn't always go to the office to do a few things, collect paper clips, call all of his little friends and groupies to tell them how powerful a gig he has, and to block various people on all of his social media, including Twitter. But Copes finally saw the writing on the wall. Thus, who the hell knows who runs KNBR now? Probably Larry Bloomhagen, who runs all the stations. There are not many stations left in Cumulus's San Francisco market. You got two stations where there is literally no human beings in the office: KSFO, KGO, better known as The Spread. It's bad, folks. Radio is hemorrhaging. Radio is dead. Bye. See ya, Copy Copes.